you are running into this, but I think because the whole world is using Zoom for school, I've noticed some issues with our platform today. So I'm curious if any of you have run into that. But I'm glad you're here, and let's get started. So my name is Anna. I think most of you know me at this point. Yeah, I've been in ISA since 2006. I've been a manager of ISAs as well. And then I've trained and coached ISAs since 2008. Within MAPS, specifically since 2015. So basically, I've done a lot of stuff with ISAs. I've learned what works, what does not work. A lot of it comes from my own failures. So what are things I did that caused me to fail as a leader of ISAs? And then what are some things that I have seen through coaching also leads to failure as ISAs? So today we're really going to talk about what not to do. I also want this to be an open conversation. So I know I can't see you, however, you can see me. There's a chat box. I would love your interaction, and I invite your interaction. Type in the box, what questions do you have specifically relating to ISA failure? So not about conversion rates, not about something off topic, yet really specifically as it relates to ISAs and winning with them or losing with them. What questions do you guys have? And I will help customize this class for you. So let me check out the chat box here real quick. So I see one of what are 3 things to do right as you're in the hiring process. So great question. So one of the first things that you want to do as you're hiring is, and I'm kind of curious if you're Keller Williams, it may not be. I know we have a whole wider range of array of people here. I recommend follow the career visioning process. And even if you're not with KW, you can take the class Career Visioning, and it'll walk you through how do you interview someone at a high level. And basically you spend a lot of hours interviewing and weeding through people. However, that will save you a lot of time in the long run because you have actually found the right person. So the first thing I would recommend is follow the career visioning process, which on average takes 8-ish hours, not all in one day, but through the process. And it really does pay off because you know that you found the right person, you have team buy-in, all of that stuff. So that's number one. The second thing would be make sure that you find someone who is results oriented. So I find one way to fail with ISAs is to find people that are very customer service oriented. So basically, maybe they come from a customer service background or they love to help people. And with that, they do not also have the assertiveness is probably the right word. Assertiveness, closing mentality. What I find from coaching ISAs, very, very frequently, someone will come into my schedule and I'll quickly discover they're so concerned about helping that they feel bad. And those are words I hear a lot on coaching calls. I feel bad. I don't want to ask for the appointment. I don't want to come across pushy. And instead, we want to help have someone that has the mindset that I understand that for me to help this person, they need to work with us. And so I have no shame in closing for the appointment because I know that's what they need. I compare it a lot to if you're a parent and your child is trying to stick their finger in the light socket, you know, because you care about your child and you want to help them, you do not sit back and say, oh, well, I don't want to seem pushy or like a bossy parent. You know, I'm just not going to say anything. I would feel bad if I told them to stop doing that. We want ISAs to have that mentality of, yeah, I want to help you. And the best way to help you is to have some assertiveness and tell you to take your finger out of the light socket, right? So that would be another thing to make sure that you don't do is find someone that is very, very heavy customer service oriented, and they do not also possess the assertiveness that you're looking for. So definitely look for high assertiveness. The other thing I would recommend that you do to answer your question here is make sure that they have a teachable spirit. So one thing I like to do in the interview process is give them a script. I'm not looking for them. I don't even care what script it is. Yet I want them to come to the next interview and I want to see how do they show up with that script when we go to role play. And I don't like to give a lot of instruction. I like to just say, hey, you know, hey, Jeremy, here's the script. We're gonna reference this in our next interview. We'll do a little bit of role play. So here's the script so you can prepare. I'm not going to tell them practice it, study it, memorize it, because I want to see what they do because of who they are. So do they come to that next interview and it's apparent they haven't looked at it? Do they show up and it's like, wow, they have memorized this thing. They're rocking and rolling with it. I'm actually really doing it more to see what they do with the script, knowing it's part of their next interview, because that tells me their hunger and their teachable spirit. One time I did that with a lead, like a team lead. And when we went to role play, he said, "Oh yeah, I didn't like that script. I actually rewrote it. I didn't think it sounded good." Well, that right away was like, pretty sure you're not going to be the right fit because you have no experience. You're not even on the team and you're telling us our systems don't work and you're rewriting things and you have nothing to base that off of, right? So that is not a teachable spirit. So the 3 things that I would say: follow the career visioning process to go heavy on the hiring, get it right so that you retain and find someone wonderful. 2, make sure that you have someone who's assertive. And then 3, make sure that you see if they're teachable. And that's one way that you can do it. All right, let me see what other questions we have coming in here real quick. Okay, so actually, I'm glad this came up. And I don't see anybody's name for some reason, but I think I just emailed you from the Edge Group Network, if it's the same one. But one question was, what's the best practice to have the ISA and agents as a unit? So in other words, what's the communication flow, ISA and agents? And I'll tell you what not to do, and then we'll talk about what you should do or could do. So what not to do, couple things, is 1, do not diminish the ISA position. So I will share with you a true story. Some of you may have heard this before. Yeah, I was on my team who the agents were really, I viewed them as my customers, right? Because I'm a people person and my job was to hand people over all day. So for my own mindset, I looked at it like the agents are really my customers and my job is to fill their schedule. The leads I talk to are not really ultimately my customers because I don't work with them long term, but the agents, they are. Well, imagine having that mindset. And one day I heard the agents talking with me in the room and they said, well, the agent position is more respectable than the ISA position. Well, I am assertive. So I was like, say what now? What? What are you saying? Also, if you actually believe that, why are you saying that in front of your ISA? But that's another thing, right? So the ISA position is not as respectable as the agent position. So I calmed down and I asked them, what makes you say that? What causes you to say that your position is elevated or more respectable than the ISA position? And what they said was actually really enlightening. And we had a great conversation around it and we ended up being fine. But they said, well, on our team, everyone starts as an ISA. And after you finish being an ISA, then you promote or you graduate into being an agent. And that's how we set it up on our team, right? You're an agent, you start with us as an ISA, after 90 days, you become an agent. So the way we talked about it made it sound like the entry-level position on the team was ISA. What we really wanted to do, the heart behind it was, let's have you get really good at lead gen because that is the main skill you must have. And then after you've had some intense time working on your lead gen ability, you will go full agent, right? So when you read MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, you can tell I read mine a lot, lots of notes here. It talks about lead gen, lead conversion is the lifeblood of your business. And in fact, Gary says that it's one of the last positions that you hand over because it takes such high talent to do it the way you would do it. So where does this idea come from that the ISA position is lesser than or entry level? And I'll just tell you, because I love you and I'm in a feisty mood today, if you were talking about your ISAs as you start as an ISA and then you become an agent, you will fail. I would not join your team. Why would someone who is assertive, they're goal-oriented, join a team for a position that's talked about as if it's entry level? Think of yourself. You are probably very goal-oriented, thinking of what you're doing. You're probably a team owner or a leader here. Would you join a team for a position that's the first position and then people graduate out of it, right? So here's what you can do. Here's how you fix it. We started saying every person who joins our team is an agent in training. So whether they're hired for the ISA position, whether they're hired for a buyer agent, listing agent, whatever it is, all sales starts as agent in training. After agent in training and after your first 90 days, you graduate from that and you are now designated buyer agent, listing agent, or inside sales agent. So it basically did the same thing. The function was the same, yet now it made it that we were all equal starting. It was agent in training. And when you were officially on the team after the 90 days, you specialized. So that will definitely help. That should help you a lot. And then to take that further, as far as communication, the one way that you will fail, and I will tell you that you will have people leave your team if you do not master this. And this is why we're calling this how to fail with your ISA, right? Make sure that there's a feedback loop once they've set an appointment for you. Make sure that there's a system to communicate the outcome of that appointment for a couple of reasons. One is we want to figure out where are our loopholes that we need to train. So if I realize, okay, every time we set an expired listing as an appointment, it cancels or they show up and don't sign, yet all of our other lead sources are fine, that would tell me, okay, we need to work on our expired scripts because they're meeting with us, but they're not actually signing with us. So maybe as an ISA, I need to get better at qualifying them. Maybe the agent needs to work on their scripting. We don't know. We're going to have to investigate. So there's a benefit to the team. It'll give you a lot of insight as to what's happening. Yet also, let's go back to the ISA needs to be assertive. Well, if you think about it, if you have an assertive person and that assertive person is setting up appointments, but they're not seeing what happens after that, they will burn out very, very, very quickly. Trust me. I think a lot of you know, and I'll share this on screen. I think if I share on screen, you can see it. If not, let me know. I have this Facebook group called ISA Mastermind Group. If you're not in there, I invite you to join it. And I think because I run that group, I'm like the anonymous ISA person. So I get a lot of private messages from people saying, and I don't know these people, and they'll just say, hey, I'm on my team. I'm thinking of leaving because I'm not getting feedback on my appointments and I'm results oriented. So one of the fastest ways to fail with your ISA, one, talk about it as if it's an entry-level position. And then two, do not provide an appointment feedback loop. I would not stay on your team. If you did not give me feedback on the appointments I set for you, I'd be out of there very quickly. So just make sure that you're doing that. All right, let me see what other questions we have. Also, you're getting me feisty. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I just got back from vacation, but I'm like fired up and feisty. So you're getting authentic Anna today, who's a little feisty. All right, let's see. What's a good wage or how is the compensation? So I will say, first of all, this is a very in-depth conversation and we've got like 30 minutes. So we do have a class and I'll answer your question, but let me show you this real quick. We do have a class starting called How to Hire, Train, and Retain ISAs. If you go to mapscoaching.com and then click on coaching right here, see how to hire, train, and retain agents, inside sales agents. We spend a full hour just on compensation. How do you set it up? Licensed, unlicensed, what do you do depending on your state? So I'll answer your question and know that you can get a lot more information in the How to Hire, Train, and Retain class. It starts September 24th, which is what, 2 weeks from today? 3 weeks from today? I've been on vacation. I think it's 3 weeks from today. So September 24th. And we go a lot more in depth in that on that call. Okay, so as far as compensation, here's the general answer. So base pay, usually ranging between $2,000 and $3,000, depending where you live. So if you live somewhere like California, where cost of living is a lot more, you're gonna need a higher base pay. I live in South Carolina, really low cost of living. You could do the $2,000 base pay. So you need to adjust your base pay depending where you live. And then commission is the best practice. So we usually see base pay, and then on top of that, a commission when they have closings. For them to receive commission, they're gonna need to be licensed. So if they are unlicensed, you will need to find a different structure. I'm not gonna get into that now. We talk about that in the class. I think most of you probably know, get them licensed. And then that way, it gives this unlimited earning potential to your ISA. However, it's low risk to you. So you do have a base pay. You're committing to a certain amount of money to pay this person. So there is some risk there, which is why you want to hire right and make sure you find someone assertive and take them through the process. However, you're not committing to, an $80,000 or $120,000 salary. If they want to make that much money, they need to bring you closings. And so they make money as you make money beyond the base pay. So that's the best way to do that. What I will tell you, can I just be honest? Put in the chat box. Can I just be really honest today? I see some questions about like salary per hour. Here's the deal. When I read Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, I read the parts about how lead gen, lead conversion is the lifeblood of the business. And if I'm really good at lead gen, lead conversion, and I'm like rocking and rolling, I'm setting lots of appointments, if I'm not being compensated well on the team I'm on, I would go start my own team. And here's why. I understand that the activity I'm doing is the vital lifeblood to the team. Now, I'm not saying other positions aren't important. Trust me, I believe all positions are important. If I am lead generating, yet we don't have good agents, or we don't have good transaction coordinators or listing coordinators, it's going to fall apart. So please hear me very clearly. All positions on the team are very, very important. Yet if you think of it like a domino effect, if we don't have good lead gen, lead conversion, all of those other positions don't matter, because we don't have anybody to manage, right? We don't have listings, we don't have buyers, we don't have transactions to coordinate. So all that being said, I personally, like, if you're paying a salary and that's it, you are not going to retain a talented ISA. You might keep an average ISA or a below average ISA. You're not going to keep a talented ISA, because they're going to figure out pretty quick they're doing the hardest sale. Like, ISA, lead gen, lead conversion is the most skilled position as far as knowing how to talk to people, winning, overcoming objections to get them to agree to meet with you. So whether you're an agent doing it, whether you have an ISA doing it, just recognize the activity of lead gen, lead conversion is the most important, most skilled, needed position on the team. So if you have someone doing that, and then they have very limited potential for their income, they're not going to stay with you. They will go find another team, or they'll just go be a single agent, because they're doing the hardest part anyway. So if I'm not going to get compensated, then I'm just going to go somewhere else. I hope that makes sense. Give me your feedback. I'd love to know. Some of you are ISAs, some of you are agents. We have a whole spectrum here. I would like your feedback on what I just said, because I just made a pretty strong statement, and I feel very convinced of it for doing this all these years. If you're not paying well, they're not going to stay. And to get that, just read this book, right? Look at how Gary talks about lead gen, lead conversion. All right, let's see what other questions we have. As far as state, we had a question about state things. Look at your local state for regulations. I know some states you can make calls unlicensed, yet you're limited in what you can say. Other states, you can't even call your sphere and tell them you're in real estate unless you're licensed. So you're going to just have to check with your local state regulations. Okay, we had a question, how do I convince the agent to let me know what happened during the appointment? I think you just explain the impact it has for you. And that might be different than it would have for me. But if it were me, I would just say something like, part of what makes me passionate about this position is knowing I'm helping you achieve your goals and we're getting closings in the door. I'm a results-oriented person. I get energy from producing results. So when I schedule an appointment and do not get feedback, it actually drains my energy and makes me less motivated. So that's why it's important for me to know what happens to these appointments. Also, it benefits you. So make sure we know how it benefits the agent as well. Make sure that it's true. It communicates, like if I'm setting appointments and they don't show up, or if I'm scheduling appointments and they show up but they weren't qualified, that helps the agent to tell us, because now I can improve. So if I'm scheduling people for you and you're like, yeah, they showed up, but we didn't sign because they weren't ready, I need to know that, because that will make me a better ISA. So I think you just got to communicate, one way or the other, how that impacts you and how it helps them as well. Yeah, I see a lot of you typing in, I agree. I see a question about virtual ISAs. Take the class, How to Hire, Train, Entertain. And this is definitely a personal opinion, there are people that have virtual ISAs. I will tell you, I was a virtual ISA. I lived in South Carolina and worked for a team in Virginia. I'm a very motivated person and my energy tanked. I strongly believe ISAs should be local to the team. I strongly believe that. It is an opinion. There are people that are succeeding. I will tell you, I coach an enormous amount of teams, and I don't know personally of any that have high quality virtual ISAs. I hear of it. I hear like, oh, this team over here. But I personally have not interacted with a team that has virtual ISAs who's just thrilled with the experience. What I do hear with virtual ISAs is they might be good for setting up, like doing circle calling, which is very low return. I have not heard anyone say they're great at calling my sphere or expireds or sign calls. I have not heard that. I've heard that they're fine for circle calling. And let me keep reading here. Yeah, I'll read this out. As an ISA, if you're thinking about lowballing an ISA, I suggest reevaluating the mindset behind valuing people on a team towards a win-win environment. Yeah. And that's why I like the base pay plus commission, because you're committing to a base pay, but it's not so much that a very motivated person will be happy with that. Like my base pay, I was not happy making my base pay. And that's one way to fail actually with ISAs is I've coached teams where the ISAs are comfortable on the base pay. So there's very low hunger. I don't need to make more because I'm paying my bills on my base pay. So I don't need a lot more. So a talented person who's driven will do very well in an environment with a base pay plus commission because they can make however much money they want. They just got to bring you closings. So it's low risk to you, but high reward for both of you. All right, any other questions? We're going to close out here in just a second. What I would say, can you all see my screen when I share? I have no idea if you can. So I'm just going to share again. Hopefully you can see it. But what I would recommend is you go here to, you can do a couple things. To make it easy, we just made annascoaching.com. You can see it right here. It takes you to the MAPS programs, but we had a lot of people saying, I can't find your programs. Where do I go? So we just made this right here, annascoaching.com. And you will see the Rainmaker program. It's 5 weeks. It starts September 24th, 5 weeks long. Which is a little bit, yeah, that's 2 weeks from today. Had to do my math real quick. It's the 10th, so the 24th is 2 weeks from today. It's 5 weeks, it's $199. So when you consider the importance of this role, $199 for 5 weeks to figure out how do I pay this person, virtual or local. We go over culture tips. I give you trackers. It makes a lot of sense. $199, we're basically giving the class away. So make sure that you're signing up for that if you have not taken it already. It's open to everybody. It's not just a KW class. It is offered through KW, but it's open to anybody that wants to take that class. And then we didn't really talk about this today, but we also have a class for the actual inside sales agent, and that launches on October 7th, okay? The other resource I want to make sure you know about, go to Facebook, and if you're not in the group already, come here to ISA Mastermind Group right here, and I would join that. So you can see I make announcements as to when classes are starting. If there's a webinar, I post in here. I posted about our webinar today. So that's really the best place to go to keep yourself aware of what's happening. Okay. Another question, if you were looking for a local ISA, where would you suggest? I would suggest your sphere, past clients, and referrals. That's the best place. I do hear of people that have success using Indeed.com, Indeed. However, usually your sphere, past clients, and it's the trust factor, right? Like they know how you operate, they know how your business works. So it's easier for them to send someone your way that fits your style, right? And you're welcome. Somebody just said thank you. You're welcome. Question came in, does this show systems and models? Yes. Yes, I think you're asking, it depends. I don't know what you're asking when you say, does this show? I don't know what this is, but in the Mastering Inside Sales class, we do talk about follow-up plans, texting, emails, stuff like that. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. If you need anything, reach out. annascoaching.com is the best place. And then also later today, I am doing a Facebook Live. I'm being interviewed by someone. His name is Mike. That will be a Facebook Live. So it's not something you register for. It's just going to be on Facebook. So I think there's a link going into the chat box here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah. Hannah is our awesome moderator. But I also posted about it in the ISA Mastermind group. So if you go to the ISA Mastermind group, there's a little ad for the webinar. I have no idea what he's going to ask me. We haven't prepared at all. So it should be a lot of fun, just a candid conversation about ISAs. And that'll be a Facebook Live later today. And you did get a link in the chat. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me. And hey, tell people about the class. I am on a personal mission to change the way ISAs are talked about and the way teams are succeeding or failing with ISAs. 5 years ago, I went to family reunion. there was only one other ISA there that I could find, and there was nothing for ISAs. So I think it is thrilling how we now have so much ISA conversation. There's a breakout session at Mega Camp for ISAs. It's awesome. And it takes word of mouth. So far in the class, we've probably had about 300 teams take the How to Hire, Train, and Retain. Just in KW alone, that is barely, like, not even a 1% of the amount of people that are within KW, not even counting other brokerages. So please pass the word, let people know about the class, maybe make a Facebook post. That would mean the world to me. And hopefully I'll see you in class or on the Facebook later today. Have a great day, everybody.